Okay, so welcome to our um, little feature tour here. I'm going to go through a lot of the main stuff, um, probably pretty quickly, but I'll stop at certain points, like say when I get through a section and you guys can ask questions or whatever. Um, and then, so if you have something, just jot it down or save it for when I give you guys a chance. And then hopefully we'll get through all this fairly quickly, and you guys can be on your way the rest of the night. All right. So this is this front page, this dashboard just has some very basic things on it. So this is just a chart of SPY in the top left, and then we have these scores and readings in the top right. This panel, you can sort of scroll through and it'll chart them over the last 2.5 months or so. These tech scores and hybrid scores I'll talk about later. They're basically the sort of ranking system that Stocklabs has for the market, and or individual stocks or ETFs. Whatever tickers in here will have a everything will have a tech score, and then every stock will have a hybrid score. ETFs and stuff don't have hybrid scores. But okay, so then you scroll down, you have access to some of your portfolios straight away, watch lists or whatever. You just click on them, and then it'll take you over into the main menu of that section, whatever it is. So this market overview, this is like sort of the main page where you can sort of come first thing in the morning or at the end of the day or whatever, and get sort of the overall look of the market for the day, as far as what happened and what sort of what all the metrics were and everything for that day. So across the top, these are cap weighted indices that rebalance every day. So Stocklabs pennies, this is 250 stocks under, or it's 150 stocks under like under $250 million market cap. Small caps is 250 stocks under $1 billion, and mega caps and terra caps, these are 50 stocks each. Mega caps is up to 100 billion, and terra caps is up to just it's at least at least 150 billion, and then up to all the way like the $2 trillion big dogs or whatever. But these get rebalanced every day. So if something falls out of like the cap range, or there's other metrics that govern sort of what belongs in here, like they have to be trading a certain amount of volume and things like that. So it's like sort of the most active stocks in these cap ranges. Once they fall out of there, they'll get reshuffled around and other things will get added in. So these are pretty dynamic indices, and you can sort of see from like if you're following them day to day, if terra caps have been leading, or small caps are doing better, or things like that. It sort of gets you just at a quick glance where you can go to look for trades right away, just from looking through the top of that. And then across the middle here, this is our overbought oversold algorithm. Like I said, the tech and hybrid score. So right now you can see hybrid is clicked on. So this chart is populated with hybrid scores over the last 3 months, and you can click on different time intervals. And then this menu over here with 3, 6, 12, the different time frames. These different time frames determine what these red and blue bands are. The red bands are overbought, the blue bands are oversold. So if we look at, say, 6 month means that Stocklabs is taking a 6 month sample of data in the market and determining where the overbought and oversold levels are as far as the like where the algo is going to call the market oversold or overbought. So you can see from here, it just marks it right on the chart. The last one we had was July 19th, and I think market basically went straight up from there. So that's, you know, that was a pretty successful signal. Actually, all of these have been pretty good. If we go to the intelligence page, and this is real-time intelligence, I'll get to that in a second, but we toggle to the overbought, oversold, and then I was on 6 month before, so I'm going to go to 6 month and oversold. So you can see on the hybrid side here, this signal is 6 and 0, like in the last, this is 1 year back test, but so we've gotten 6 signals in the last 1 year, and all 6 of them have been successful, basically calling bottoms in the market. So it's a pretty powerful algorithm, and I know like a lot of existing users in Stocklabs, I mean, they'll base whole strategies just around sort of waiting for these signals, and then what they do from there is sort of just how they approach the market. So we've got the data we only count forward 10 days, so 2 trading weeks from the signal. So we're past the, you know, oversold signal that the prior one that I had just pointed out on this chart. You know, we're more than 10 days past this, but if we do get another one, then it'll, you know, that would just be something that we'd be looking for, but we have a ways to go. I mean, this is basically an oscillator, and it's sort of just at the midpoint between overbought and oversold right now. So that's for this overbought, oversold. Has signals for hybrid or just technical. So the technical score is just strictly the technicals that Stocklabs has on the back end for determining overbought or oversold. And then the fundamental score for the market, which doesn't really change that much, but it has a lot of sort of like, you know, like macro fundamental criteria in it that sort of underpins what the score is. And the hybrid score is a combination of the tech score and the fundamental score. So me personally, I like the hybrid score just for using this, but a lot of, you know, the tech score is just as usable usually. If there's going to be a tech score signal, most likely, or if there's going to be a hybrid score signal, there's most likely going to be a tech score signal within either the same day or maybe a day. Like they could be offset by 1 day, so it's not like a major difference. I just think that I just like the hybrid score just because I've always used it as my primary one. I'll go back to this a little more. I just want to cover more of what's on this page, but market stats are across the middle. So this is like fundamental data for the overall market. You can just scroll through. On the back end, there's more like technical leaning stuff, like above 50 and 200-day moving averages. This is number of overbought, number of oversold stocks. So this overbought, oversold algorithm that I was talking about is also applied to individual stocks as well. So an individual stock will have its own chart of its oscillator where its overbought and oversold thresholds are, because every stock, I mean, some stocks behave, you know, more or less like the market, but others, you know, they have their own path, they have their own price action that all gets logged and cataloged for determining where its overbought, oversold thresholds are. 52-week highs and lows. So this is pretty normal stuff across the middle, but you have it all right here in front of you, just at a glance. And then our sectors are here. The market is divided up into 8 sectors. And then we have these columns across the page that give you some of the data for those sectors. So these are averages basically for the for this sector. So tech scores, hybrid scores, volume cap, and then if we go over, yeah, so we have year to date and stuff, and you can add columns into here. This page, this is all the fields that are available inside of, well, actually this one's a little less, but this is the same page that you'll see when I talk about the screener for screening for stocks. And then these down at the bottom, these are just custom indices that the Fly makes every now and then. Like if a theme emerges, he'll basically basket up a bunch of stocks and dump them in here so that we can sort of keep an eye on them very quickly for, price action or finding trades right away that may be, good to have. So for instance, like a couple months ago, he made this NFTs one where like NFTs are like the hottest thing right now. And there's a bunch of stocks that are related to NFTs. So if I go to constituents, so all these stocks are in some way involved or related with the NFT trend. So that's just one example, but there's a bunch of different ones in here. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this overbought, oversold. So like I said, you only get a signal for this if the oscillator crosses below or above the threshold. So either it crosses the oversold threshold or it crosses the overbought threshold, then you have the signal. But all this empty space basically in the middle, you kind of want to know what the price action might be like for those levels of the oscillator, which is what real-time intelligence is. So real-time intelligence will take this, say for instance, this tech score. So this is today's tech score on the market, 2.22. So Stocklabs will look back, and we can back test any period, but I'm just going to leave it on 1 year for now. Stocklabs will back test the past year's worth of 2.22 signals. So anytime the market generated a 2.22 tech score on here, this was the return breakdown from that level. And this granularity, this is the tolerance of this score. So granularity 0.1 means that anything 2.12 to 2.32 counts as a 2.22 score right now and gets factored into these readings. Okay, hold on, I see a question. How are we signaled for Obo's activity? Just what do you mean by that? Like, how would you know?
Yeah, so you mentioned that there would be a signal, like, so if it goes below the blue band or above the red band, there's a signal. So I'm just wondering, is it a signal if you're looking at it, or when something like that occurs, is there an alert?
Yeah, so most of the time, at least if you're pretty actively trading, you're going to be aware of where this oscillator is. So like, say for instance, on like back here on these days, like I was just watching this and then just waited for the day that it closed there. Now it'll show this oversold like flag on this marker on here. It'll show it intraday if we're below the threshold, but the signal doesn't really count unless we close below there, if that makes sense. So like if we're down here at like 1 o'clock or something, and somehow we rally a little bit in the afternoon and close above this marker, won't be here, because by the time we close, we were back above. So first, and inside the chat room for like the people that are sort of participating or whatever, people will be like calling out that, we're really close to being oversold or whatever, or we are oversold, et cetera. But no, you're not going to get like a, you're not going to get like a thing pushed to you if that's what
Okay.
if that's
Yes,
what your question was.
that's what I was asking. Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, no, it's just that you're sort of just watching it and paying attention on your own. I mean, sometimes the file like tweets something out about it or whatever, but in general, like if it's like, for me, it's just part of my process that I check this stuff every day now. So I'm sort of like, for me, I'm just like aware. I'll sort of flag that we're like very close and stuff in the chat room or whatever, but that's mainly how we're keeping track of it. And you'll know if, because when we're getting down to these signals, the price action in the market is going to be pretty bad. So you're going to be looking around for like, hey, when's this thing going to flag or something like that. Okay, so where was I? Oh, right. So the intelligence, this is, so the oversold, say like on this, it's overbought, but if I'm on oversold, so these oversold stats, these stats are only in play if you get that signal, which is like I said before. But what you can do in the meantime before you get, if you don't have a signal on the oboe side, is look at real-time intelligence, which gives you just forward stats for the current market score, either on the tech or hybrid side, whichever one you prefer. But so like, for instance, today, I mean, these stats are pretty good. You have like, say if you took a combination between the two of them, let's see, these are all about 60. All right, so 60 to 70% chance of being up, in 3 to 10 days. And these are all 70 to 90% chance of being up in the next 3 to 10 days. So, call it like 75 or 80% chance that by next week we'll be higher than we are now. It's sort of just a rough example of how you could use this stuff. And these are just for the overall market. All of these tools exist for individual stocks too. So like if I go to something like Amazon, and you see like Amazon has its own score. This is intelligence. We want to see, so it's not quite oversold yet. You can see this bar shows you the oscillator is 12% away from being oversold. Now that's not 12% downside in the stock. That's 12% that this oscillator has to move. So 12% down from 1.78, whatever that is, 1.5 or something. Oh, well, the thing is right here, 1.45 for the to get to oversold. You can see they're marked on this bar. And so if you did get to oversold, you can see like the stats here are different than they were for, let me look at the same signal. Yeah, so the stats here are their own, separate from the market and everything. So, and okay, so that's everything on the live floor. This is sort of like the very high level view of the market that you can get just on this one page. The algo tab, this shows you this is like a table view of the overbought oversold algorithm that I was showing on that chart on the live floor. And you can see on the right, you can click on chart view and get that same chart. You just have, just put it on the same thing as the other one, whichever one you're looking at. And it'll show you in the table, it'll populate in the table the signals, these match up with this. So it's just however you want to be looking at it. Actually, this doesn't match with this because this is, but if I go to tech, right. So August 4th. Okay, seasonality. This is another thing that a lot of people like. This is like 28 or 29 years looking back for market returns. And I mean, like, for instance, right now you can see like traditionally we're sort of in, this is like the summer doldrums or whatever. I mean, August is going okay so far. I mean, it hasn't been like crazy up, but it's also not down either yet. So we'll see if it follows along with that. But then, yeah, again, once you come back from Labor Day, you know, market tends to take off again for the end of the year. And this seasonality exists again for individual stocks, but you also have on individual stocks, you have the ability to drill down to smaller time frame seasonalities. So like if I go to daily, and let me just, since this is so much data, let me just go to like for this year. So this is showing Amazon's returns by day of the week for 2021. Tuesday has been the best so far, you know, based on, you know, just for this year. It's actually by a pretty long shot, up 32 bips on average, versus the rest of the days are kind of flat. So, you know, you have these four, you know, you can look this up for any stock. I mean, some stocks will show like pretty crazy trends, you know, like you might see like every Friday, it could be up like 4% or something like that, depending on how much of a time frame you're looking at. But these grays are the SPY comparison, you know, for, you know, against that stock. And if I go to hourly, and let me just go even, let's say since, so this is by hour of the day. And a lot of these numbers are really small because it's about, you know, an hour is not a lot of time in market time, but you could sort of see just by the amount of green, like the mornings tend to be the strongest, and then by the afternoon, maybe you fall off. At least this is in the last, see, June, July, you know, in the last 2 months and a week, 2 months and a couple weeks. So that's the trend, at least for Amazon, you know, on an hourly basis. But you can drill down on these, you know, and see if you can find any, you know, finding patterns in some of these can be pretty advantageous. If you can find a stock that is really behaving, you know, in a certain way, then I mean, that's, you know, you could say that's easy money, because, you know, what you're doing is you're sort of honing in on where, you know, obviously a lot of the market trading is algorithmic. So you're sort of honing in on where these sort of buys or sells, as far as like the buys and sell programs are coming in, and, you know, making their allocations. So you can tail along with those. Oh, let me see. I missed these. Can you make an example with a specific stock like Tesla? Okay, so I mean, I've been showing Amazon here, but I could do Tesla, and I'll show you. And cryptocurrencies right now, I mean, the Flies says he has, you know, a crypto platform in the works. I mean, right now, the best we have inside Stocklabs is just all the sort of proxy crypto stocks that a lot of people trade. I mean, people trade crypto too, and we'll talk about it in the chat and everything like that. But as far as the actual Stocklabs tools, they're not applied to, you know, like Bitcoin or Ethereum or anything like that currently, but in the future. Okay, so someone asked for, you know, I asked for Tesla. This is the same thing. So intelligence. This intelligence is actually quite bullish right now somehow. and let's see, overbought, oversold. So it is, yeah, so it is overbought, but that doesn't, overbought doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to go down. You have to look at the statistics for the signal. So you can see that this marker is in the red, sort of overbought territory, but the statistics for the signal are positive. So it sort of means that it has momentum. When you see an overbought stock with positive statistics, that's sort of like a momentum trade, is how you can think of that. Let me see, what else was I gonna show here? Yeah, so see, you have this. Yeah, this is way high somehow, but yeah, it is. That is what it is. Okay, I'm gonna go back to this, and okay, so we did seasonality, we did algo, we did so financials. This is a lot of the, like, from that fundamental data strip that was on the live floor. You can come in here and see the fundamental data for the market plotted over, almost 30 years. So revenues are here. You can do quarterly or annual. The data will fill out as we go through earnings season. So earnings season for Q3, not many people have reported, but as they report, these numbers will fill in more. There's other stuff like free cash flow, gross margins for the overall market. So margins making a new high. That's good. Inventories were down some last quarter. Debt was down a little bit last quarter, but yeah, you get the idea. This is all fundamental data, so you can sort of see if there's a trend developing where the fundamentals are really disconnecting from, say, like the price action in the market. You'll at least be aware of it and know that you might have to take some action on that at some point. The earnings tab, this is an earnings calendar, and basically just shows you, you click on any day, it'll show you all the tickers reporting that day. Pretty straightforward. It has this menu of screener criteria that I'll talk about more in depth when I get the screener over here. But and then the last tab on this market overview page is intelligence screener, which is, like I told you before, the overbought, oversold, and the intelligence tools are applied to individual stocks as well. So this screener spits out the best stocks rated by intelligence. So currently these columns, you could change the parameters in these columns, which you should. I'll just show you real quick. Okay, so right now it says that this is the best stock, but it only has 2 data points. So and a lot of these only have 1, which is no good. I mean, you can trade off it, but to me, it's no good. So I like at least 5 data points. So I changed this to 5, and then I want the stock to be up at least like 65% of the time. And this is on a 5-day return. These returns are 5-day. So it's just the midpoint of, like I said, it tracks from 0 to 10 days. So the 5-day return is just the one that's defaulted on this page. All right, so what do we have? Never heard of this. Actually, never heard of a lot of these. Heard of GT, heard of GH. Actually, I kind of like GH. Apache, Red Rock, but yeah, top one, ELVT, whatever this is projected to have 11.5% positive return in the next 5 days. And the signal is 5 and O in the last 1 year back test. So every time it doesn't, do we show the, okay, so we're not showing the tech scores on here. I can show it. Where is it? Tech score. Okay, so this tech score for this stock is 2.1, which means the last 5 times that this stock had 2.1 tech score, it went up 11.5% in 5 days. So on average. So some of these obviously for 5 data points, this 11.5 is, some days might have been, sometimes might have been 15, other times it was 8, whatever, but it comes out to 11.5 is how that works. And you also have this for overbought, oversold. So this is the same thing. It screens individual stocks, but just on overbought, oversold. So if I do the same thing, I want more than one data point for things. Okay, so what's the top? So these aren't really that exciting. You can see the list sort of levels off pretty quickly. It kind of, all this stuff 1-2%. You're not really that interested. This 6% one, maybe you're interested in OSMT, but it's it's like a micro cap kind of stock. So depending on what sort of things you're trading or whatever, maybe you take it, maybe you don't. But and this is on 3-month. Oh no, never mind. This is overbought. Okay, if I want to do oversold, I want to do 6 months oversold. Hello. Come on. Well, okay. I'm not going to waste too much time on this, but you get the idea. You can change all these for any signal you want. Like 6 months, you could change the back test period or whatever. But you're just going through individual stocks as opposed to the overall market, but the process is the same. So you're looking for overbought or oversold thresholds for stocks. Our newswire here. This is a live news feed. Actually, the Fly posts this on Twitter a lot. I think basically anyone has access to this, but he curated a list of all the top new financial news outlets and got them into a feed here. So there's not any nonsense in here. It's all just either market related stuff or news related releases and things. So you can keep this up like on a separate screen if you need a news feed. And because like a lot of people, if you're just on Twitter yourself, all these are Twitter, they're sourced by Twitter, but like if you're on your own Twitter page or something, a lot of times it's sort of a disaster because you follow all sorts of stuff and whatever. This is pretty clean for finding or for just having all the latest stuff get spit out right to you. Industries page. So this is a bigger version of that panel that was on market overview. And you can go the industries across the top here. These are median returns for the industry. So actually today was, not great, which we've seen a lot of that sort of price action where, either there's weak rotations between sectors or everything is sort of down like this and the index stays sort of pinned just from, the mega cap stocks being up or whatever. But you can go through different time frames, and yeah, even this on a median basis is not great. So the price action in the market has been sort of hard to decipher what's going to take the lead, what's going to where the next trend is going to be. It's been pretty choppy and with a lot of back and forth between a lot of these. So down here are the subsectors. These are all the sectors that make up any one of these up here, and they're marked. You know, the first column is okay. So 3D printing is technology, so it's within that. And then these are the same thing. This is median return for the sector. I'm going to go to 1 week, and let me just go to something. Okay, so application software. This is like SaaS. This is SaaS stocks and things like that. Software stocks. You can see across the top here, a lot of these are, you have like these familiar tabs. So you have seasonality for the sector. It's going to load. All right, well, I'll start with algo, but so algo's here. So this is like the sector's ranking in Stocklabs, and then you have the same thing, financials with all the same tabs as for the overall market, but it's just broken out into this one sector. So you can sort of find sectors that are doing a lot better than the market average. I want to show this seasonality, but it's giving me a hard time. Okay, and intelligence, same thing. You have this for individual sectors. So all these tools, overbought, oversold, intelligence, anything like that, is you have it for the overall market, you have it for a sector of the market, and you have it for individual stocks. So you can really sort of cycle through all those things and drill down to where you might be able to find the most successful trade, like at that time. Okay, I really don't know why this is doing this. Let me go to a different one. Okay, I guess it's just not going to show it to me today. But anyway, you have the seasonality thing too. Okay, I was on an industries page. Was there anything else I wanted to show on here? Forget. All right, I'll just move on. So screener, this is probably what you'll spend the most time with as far as like if you're actively trading or anything like that. Just because this is like, you know, everyone's always looking for their next idea. So this is the default page. You have all these default columns on here that you can change and then save to your own screens, which I'll show a little bit. But to start, all these default screens up here are from the fly that he made, and he uses about 3 or 4 of these like all day. He'll just have them up on different screens and basically monitor them for trades, and that's how he finds basically 90% of, you know, what he's trading. So for instance, let me just go to one that okay, so this is low float runners. So this is stocks that are moving. They have a small float, which means that, you know, they might squeeze or you know, make more exaggerated moves just because, you know, they're trading on larger than normal volume, and they don't have really the float to balance that out. So the pressure on the price action is to the upside. So that's an example. This is like an example of one of the screens that he has. 2 of the main tools that, okay, there's nothing on this screen right now, but actually, let me see if my version has any. Okay. Yeah, so this screen is VSA, which is VSA stands for Volume Surge Analyzer. And what this is doing is it's looking for spikes in volume, and how it's figuring if something is a spike in volume is depending on the time frame. So in this case, I'm doing it by 15 minutes. So what this means, like this top one has like 1200%. What this means is that the most recent 15-minute candle traded plus 1200% of the volume of the last, the average of the last 30 15-minute candles. So it looks back 30 intervals of whichever time frame you're on and compares the current candle of that time frame to the average of those, if that makes sense. So this 5-minute one, this is 400, this current candle is 400% over the average of the last 30 5-minute candles. And if you did 30 minutes, it's 300% over the average of the last 30-minute candles. So whichever time frame you're on, you're looking back 30 intervals of that time frame. You're taking the average and you're comparing it to the current one. So if there's a spike, you'll see it show up here. Let me go to this question. How many instances of Stocklabs can you have open in case you want to track multiple stock? You could have as many instances open as your computer can handle. So, yeah, I mean, if you want to have 20 tabs open, it's fine. There's no limit. There's no limit on that. But like if you have like 20 windows, Chrome open, all running something currently, it might, computer might not be able to handle it. I mean, maybe it can, but yeah, there's no limit on how many windows you have open or how many pages you have open or anything like that. So you should be good to go with tracking all sorts of whatever you want. Like if you want to have the news page open, you have one of your portfolios open, you have, the market overview open, you have 4 screens open, it's fine. It's no big deal. Okay, so that's VSA. Everyone understands, like it's calculating volume spikes based on the current candle compared to the prior 30 of that candle, whichever time frame it is. And then VD is a different volume tool, which is making a different calculation. It's VD stands for volume delta. And what it's doing is it's taking the current volume that the stock has traded that day, so far, and it's prorating it to the end of the day and comparing it to the average of the prior 30 days. So for instance, if a stock is trading, if a stock normally trades like 1 million shares a day, and at at like 11 o'clock in the morning, it's on pace to trade like 3 million shares that day, then this VD will read plus 200% because it's on pace to get to 3 million. 3 million is plus 200% from 1 million, which, is the average that I just made up. But that's how that works. So VSA, just to tie up the difference between the two, VSA is taking the current candle, comparing the volume of that to the average of the prior 30 candles of that interval. And VD is prorating the day's volume to the end of the day and comparing that back to the prior 30 days, the average of the prior 30 days. So both of them, people have made all sorts of screens. I have a bunch of different screens that are made that are either based on VSA or VD. A lot of people trade off of them. I think probably volume delta might be a little more popular, but they're both good. I mean, the Fly uses both of these, finds all sorts of trades or whatever. VSA is available on 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and there's even a 1 minute one. There's even a 1 minute one too. So the 1 minute one is really trying to find, like, I guess you would use it like to find like super spikes or like something like that, because you would set it to, like, I have this screen set to over 100% on 15 minute. So over 100% is double. So if something trades double the average of the last, if something trades double in 15 minutes, what it traded on average in the last 30, 15-minute candles, then it shows up on this screen. But if you were using something like 1 minute, you'd probably set it really high, like maybe like 800 or 1,000%. So you're really just trying to catch like really big spikes in volume on a micro level that are hopefully sort of setting a trend, maybe like for the day, like for like intraday or something like that. But all the different time frames, you can use them all different ways to sort of put together trades or ideas. So this is just the volume delta, which, so I have it set on 300%. So if something's on pace to trade basically 4x normal volume, it'll show up on the screen. I do have it set to over 2 million shares traded. So I want things that are like liquid enough that, you know, you're able to move in and out of the ticker. And then I have it sorted by high a day. So the ones that are pressing high a day or making new highs will bubble up to the top of this list, basically. Is how this is set up for right now. What else? Oh, I want to talk about another tool, which is SAA. So this is more for probably a little bit longer term trading or trend following. So I talked about these tech and hybrid scores. Like the tech score is the technical ranking that Stocklabs gives a stock. The hybrid score is a combination of the tech score and the fundamental score, which the fundamental score is not, I don't have it in these columns, but so these scores, especially the tech score, can change a lot, like from day to day, just because, you know, if a stock drops a lot, obviously its technical score, you know, is going to show damage to the, you know, to the score. But what this SAA score does is it tries to smooth out these tech and hybrid scores to where you can sort of see, you know, you can sort of rank the best stocks just off this SAA score, just off these SAA scores if you wanted to. So for instance, it'll basically, in simple terms, average out or smooth out these scores. And then over whatever time frame, you can find the strongest stocks, you know, that, you know, the strongest stocks based on the price action that has taken place over that interval. So for instance, 1 month, if I sort this list by 1 month, top 5 stocks, BNTX, RMD, Moderna, VICR, and MPWR. So these are all like almost 4 or above 4 on an for an SAA score. But like take for instance like this BNTX. So its 1 month SAA score is really good because the price action has been really good for you know, for a month, or I mean actually more than a month, but if I'm looking at a month, it's been really good for a month. But like today's tech score is not that high because the stock just took a little bit of a dive like in the last day or so or whatever. So, you know, if you were only looking at tech scores, you might be getting whipped around a lot. But if you are looking through SAA scores, there's less of a chance of you getting sort of whipped around because the longer the time frame you're looking at for these scores, obviously the better the steadier the price action has been for that particular stock. And I will tell you that the Fly uses this 1 month SAA score as basically the deciding factor for his quantitative portfolio that he rebalances once a month. So it is something that is pretty useful. And then, you know, whatever time frame you're looking at, you know, depending on what sort of trades you're trying to do, will determine which time frame you're going to put more weight on, like at that moment. SAA score 1 year, this you could basically use as a replacement for like a Sharpe ratio. I think it's probably better than a Sharpe ratio for finding like the best trending stocks or whatever. Okay, so SAA score, I did the volume. I did the volume tools. Are there any questions? Are there any questions on the screener or any questions in general? I know I went through them. I knew I went through them pretty quick. I mean, there's a ton of stuff you can do with the screener. So let me just, I have a more or less blank screen saved in here. And then what I do is whatever things I want to add, I just add them on and resave it as something else. But yeah, there's all these different criteria and you can use different combinations of them to produce any sort of screen that you want, basically.
Is there a place where the definitions of that you're using are captured?
The definitions, like what all the, like
SAA, if I wanted to know what it was, or some of the other columns, is that defined anywhere?
Yeah, so a lot of the major ones that I talked about right now, if you go down here and click on help, it'll bring up an FAQ that I have written out with a bunch of, it's not just some of these things, but a lot of like the overbought oversold stuff will have like written explanations with screenshots and things like that. So you can reread things and sort of digest more slowly than just me spitting it out to you right now. But that would be in this help tab. A lot of the other ones, I mean, there aren't definitions for all these things because a lot of them are sort of just self-explanatory from the name. But like things like SAA, like you wouldn't know anything about that unless someone told you what that is. I mean, that the SAA stands for Stocklabs Advanced Algorithm, and it's basically just, like I said, it's smoothing out the tech and the hybrid scores. And the tech and hybrid scores you can find, I'm just going to go back to the tech and hybrid scores. You can see like the main criteria for them here that make up the score. And if you just hover over it, it'll give you basically Stocklabs' definition of how it ranks each criteria. So you can see like a lot of the technicals are based on price performance, relative strength, volatility, volume. Fundamentals are, debt, peg ratios, price to book, price to sales, profit margins, things like that. So every day these scores get recalculated based on whatever the latest information is. And like I said, the hybrid score is a blend of these tech and fundamental scores. Hybrid scores should be about 70 or 75% technical and 20 or 25% fundamental is how the breakdown is for hybrid. Since fundamental changes a lot slower than technical, we weight technical a little higher. Well, actually a lot higher, but higher. Do you will take the jab? I had coronavirus. I had COVID like, what month is it now? August. So I had it back in like April. So I'm immune. As many screens, etc. you want, you have pro, and most don't take the jab. Yeah, so pro, let me touch on that since it's got mentioned. But these features, that the VSA and the volume delta, so those are considered volume tools. Those are only available for pro members. So basic members, you won't be able to see those see those criteria. You won't be able to make a screen with, say, like volume delta. Another thing that is pro is this real-time intelligence. So everyone has access to overbought, oversold, but if you want the real-time data, that's pro feature. Pro also has, yeah, so you have unlimited screens, unlimited portfolios, unlimited watch lists. Everything with Pro is unlimited and has access to everything. And then Basic has, I'm trying to remember, I think Basic has 5 portfolios, might be 5 portfolios, 5 watch lists, and up to, I forget how many screens. Screens might not be limited, but it could have a limit on, it could be like 10 screen limit or something for Basic. And then I almost forgot one of the most important things for Screener is this live tab, or this live toggle. So when your screen is set on live, that means that your screen will be updating in real time constantly. You won't have to refresh the screen to get new results. The results will auto shuffle themselves in here based on whatever, you know, if one's moving up the list or down the list or whatever, it will all happen in real time without you having to do anything. So it's really strong feature to have live on. I mean, I have live on all my screens, and especially on the ones that are like anything you're looking for, like volume surges or big swings in prices or anything like that. You're going to want to have on live, just because, you know, you don't want to have to refresh a screen every, I don't even know how fast you'd have to refresh it, every 1 minute, every 5 minutes to get new results. You just want to have the screen up. You want it to just be putting things at the top of the list as they're, you know, as they're meeting the criteria or as they're moving up the list or whatever. Yeah, so options, there's no built-in tools for options right now, but Fly says he's building it. But how most people trade options in, like as far as users already in Stocklabs, is that if you're using some of these signals or things like that, then you can just go, you know, if you're on your broker's, if you're like on your broker's platform, then you just sort of pick out the options that are, that will pay out the best based on whatever the signals are that Stocklabs is spitting out. So it's not very difficult. I mean, people, you know, a lot of people trade options inside Stocklabs. Options, futures, same thing. There's no like direct futures link to Stocklabs, but, you know, if the market gets, you know, for instance, if the market gets pinged oversold, like people will just buy a ton of like ES or NQ or whatever, you know, whatever futures they want. If oil's oversold, you try to trade CL, anything like that. So yeah, that should answer questions about options.
On the algo screen, there are little rectangles with the month beside some of the values. How is that determined? Why is it?
On the algo screen?
Yeah, if you take, say, Amazon, and you do the algo and you get a bunch of dates down below it, and some of those dates have little rectangles with a flame and the 6 months beside it.
Yeah.
Why are they placed there on those specific dates?
This,
Yes.
yeah, so these are the signals that the algo has, so they'll match these. It's just a different view of them.
Okay.
So like,
that's what I want to know.
yeah, so a lot like on the old platform, the only thing we had was this table view, and this is new, where the actual oscillator gets printed with the actual markings of the signals on it, so you can visualize it a little better over time, as opposed to just like looking through this table. But they're the same thing. So any day that has, for instance, this red like 6-month tag on here will match whichever date it is on here.
So the rectangle would be blue if it was an oversold, right?
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'll show it. Okay, let me just check. Okay, so June 3rd. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's just a different view.
Okay.
What kind of risk management is provided when building a portfolio? You could take as much or as little risk as you want in your portfolios. There's no like, how should I say this? There's no like, I don't know, like, what word should I even use? Like financial planning. Like we're not, Stocklabs isn't going to tell you, hey, I don't think you should have half your account in, Facebook or whatever. It's not going to do that. I am going to go to portfolios right now though. So this is your portfolios page. You can make portfolios with the create button up here. I think I'm going to skip showing the making of portfolios, but I'll just show you what the portfolios have in them. So for instance, this is the Fly's trading account. So you have your current holdings in it, and then you can see across the top like the breakdown of performance, and then each day has, I mean, the Fly trades a lot. Like this is his trading account, like I said. So I mean, to have like 60 trades in a day is kind of normal for him. I mean, we make fun of him a little bit sometimes for it, like if he breaks 100 someday or something. But yeah, I mean, it works for him. So this shows like returns by month or returns by year. Obviously, this is a brand new thing, so there's only this year and last year in it. But returns by month. The trades tab will logs every trade that comes in and out of the portfolio, and shows the P&L next to it. And there's more.
While you're on that screen, there's some little orange circles that appear beside the trades. What does that orange circle mean?
Well, there's no orange circles on here, but the orange marker is, so if you enter a trade into your portfolio, and you yourself edit the price, like, so you don't let, like, because when you're entering a trade into a portfolio, Stocklabs is going to automatically pull the price from the exchange, and it's going to say, you bought it right now at $100 or whatever. But if you override that and edit the price and say, no, I bought it at $98, then it's just going to put an orange marker on there, which doesn't mean anything as far, like, it's still going to do all the same tracking and everything like that for you. But anyone that comes in here and looks at the portfolio is just going to see that you manually put the price in, as opposed to like Stocklabs fetching it itself live, is all that means.
Okay, thank you.
So like if you went and saw someone's portfolio and it was like up 600%, but every trade had like orange things next to it that was like, oh, they paid like 15% less than what the thing was at the time. It's like, it's kind of a red flag. Okay, what else? Did I answer the risk management question enough? I mean, people in the chat room will tell you you're an idiot if you have like I don't know, half your account in like some options that are expiring in, 4 days, but no, there's no like official risk management department at Stocklabs.
You can follow certain people in the chat room that have conservative portfolios. Like for instance, Laura has a very conservative portfolio.
Yeah, you can go in community portfolios, and I guess if you know the name of the person's portfolio that you're trying to find, you can find anyone's portfolio in here and follow it. And if you want to like really follow it, like do the trades yourself, then I'll just show it. Okay, so let's just go. All right, Tiger's kind of crazy, so we'll leave him out of it. But all right. So if I like how Diddy trades or invests and I want to follow along with it, I just click on this portfolio. I click follow up here, and then inside my following list will be his portfolio. So I can get to it really quickly to see what sort of moves got made in it. And I think I know for Fly's portfolio they show. Oh no, okay. So any portfolio that you follow is going to send you notifications if the person makes a change in it. So like you can see here, like I follow Fly's trading account. So it shows me that he bought this stock, he bought this stock, he sold this stock or whatever. I follow Raging Cajun's swing portfolio. So it shows me that he bought this or whatever. And this will have like this bell will have like a symbol on it if there's something new in there. There's just nothing new in there at this current moment. Watch list works the same way as portfolios. It has the same sort of layout or look to it. What days do I get guided by Vice's Financial Insights? Usually guided shows up in the chat room around, I would say like 1 to 6 a.m. Eastern time on generally weekends. So you got to be up late to catch a conversation with guided. Okay, watch list, same thing. You can follow any watch lists, like other people's watch lists, the same way you would find a portfolio. The watch lists are good because you can I mean, obviously everyone knows how to, most people know how to use a watch list. You just sort of basketing stuff together that is relevant that you're going to look at every often enough. Oh, I'll show another thing from Screener that is good. It just reminded me from looking at watch lists. But like if I have a screen and say I like the output of this screen and I just want all of it, I want to track all of it, and I don't want it to change because it's going to change since this is on live. But I can click this like snowflake icon up here, and it will turn this into a watch list for me. So you see that now we're in watch lists, and it's my screen, and I can rename it like I can make it public so anyone can find it, and that's that. So now this screen is permanently in my watch list. Well, not the screen, but the stocks from that screen are permanently in my watch list that I can get to anytime. So that's a good feature for like if you want to just dump, if you have a bunch of stocks and you just want to dump them somewhere to either look at them later or another time, then you just use that snowflake icon, and it'll do it for you. Screener search. This is like a new thing that's kind of cool. This will basically look through every stock, and you can use keywords to sort of find what's popping in the news and what stocks are associated with those keywords in the news, and see if any of them are moving like at that time. Now, right now, this is going to search everything. So anything, like anytime someone mentioned it in Pelican Room, chat room. So I don't care about that. And company profiles, I'll leave on there for now. But so if there was some sort of new trend that took off, I'm just going to type NFT because it was from before. And then I set it to, I'll do the past month. Maybe I'll do past week since it's a lot. Okay. So this is every stock in the past week that has been mentioned in the news with some association with NFTs. Now, if something was brand new, like if we had a very new trend, like say back last year, we would have been searching stuff for like coronavirus or like respiratory or whatever, and finding all these crazy, little biotech companies that were, going nuts at the time. We were having to find them other ways back then, but this would have been very straightforward. And then past 24, if I go to past 24 hours, this would be where you'd be looking for something brand new. Yeah, so there's nothing in here. I mean, Twitter probably had some random press release or something about NFTs, which is not really what we care about, but you get the idea. You would be able to type in whatever keywords you want and just have stocks bubble up to the top of the screen as the news was coming out. So it's all real time. See, this screen is on live as well. So it's searching the news online and matching it with stocks in here, all in real time and showing it right in front of you. Okay. So is there anything that's unclear or anything that anyone has questions on? I'll open up the floor now. I know we're going a little bit long, but it's kind of a lot of stuff. I mean, I could show you more stuff like all day if you wanted to, but most people just want to get the idea pretty quickly.
Is there any way to not have personnel that don't trade? They just have entered a list maybe a year ago, but they always appear in your list of personnel when you're looking for something. Is there a way for you to not show them?
What do you mean personnel?
Some of the customers don't trade. They have a portfolio, but if you look on the trades, the portfolio was created some time ago, and it's always showing up with no activity.
Well, you don't have to follow it. Just follow the ones that you want to follow, and then they'll be in your following list. See, like this list is only portfolios that I follow.
Okay.
Everyone's portfolio that's public is available in this list. But usually if you're looking through this list and you find one that you like, you're going to follow it, and then it'll be in your shorter list of following portfolios. So like I follow Fly's Quant. I follow August.
You can't follow yourself though, right?
Well, that's sort of like
I like to compare my performance with other folks that I'm following, but I don't think I can put myself in that list.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, you're just gonna be in your own list here. I don't think, I mean, let me see. Yeah, no, there's no follow button on yours because it's your portfolio. So there's no like, the following is just for other people, a place to put other people's stuff. Anybody else or other questions, comments? How do you do certain things or anything like that? All right, well, I guess I'll wrap it up. Then. So like I mentioned before, there's this help page is the FAQ. So it'll have like all different explainers on, you know, all the different topics or whatever. You just click on them. It'll have written out explanations. It'll show you where on the page stuff appears, things like that. How do I go back? Oh wait, there's stuff in here. Right. Yeah, there's a YouTube channel too. If you go to I'm trying to get out of this. Okay, anyway, there's a YouTube channel too. Just search Stocklabs on YouTube. There's all sorts of like explainers on there. There's recap videos of the market. I do those every week, usually on Fridays or Saturdays. And yeah, if you're not a subscriber yet, then you can. Oh, another question. Yeah, you can go to, there should be, just click the join link in the email that got sent with the Zoom invite, and that'll take you to the landing page of where the plans are and where the sign up stuff is and everything like that. So just click the join link. It's not going to like automatically do anything to you. It's just going to take you to the landing page. And then from there, you can click across the top. There's plans and other information too. Okay, so that's pretty much it for me. If you guys have other questions or you think of stuff along the way, then you can email me, support@stocklabs.com. I'll type it in this chat. So you can write that down and you can email me. I will answer basically any question you want. I will hop on another call with you like this and, walk you through other stuff if you want to, or anything like that. So I'm available as like a resource if you guys need any other questions answered or anything like that. So just feel free to reach out if you think of anything, in the next couple of days or in the future or whatever. Let me just check one more time if there's any. No. Okay, so I'm gonna end the meeting now, and yeah, so just click on that join link in Stocklabs, and head over to the landing page, and you'll get all sorts of pricing information and payment plans and things like that. It's all there. All right. Thanks for coming out, everybody, and we'll catch you later.